Hello everyone, welcome to We Learn Tutorials. In this video, we will learn how to balance the chemical equations. But before that, we need to understand the meaning of balanced chemical equation. So let's take an example. Magnesium plus magnesium oxide, it will give me MgO. Magnesium plus oxygen, it will give me magnesium oxide. So now I can see this is reactant side, I can say, and this is product side, right hand side, and this is left hand side. So on reactant side I can see there is one atom of magnesium and two atoms of oxygen. On product side I can see there is one atom of magnesium and one atom of oxygen. Now I can see the number of atoms of both the elements are not same on both sides of the equation. Now let's try to multiply this with 2 and this also with 2. Now let's find out the number of atoms. Now on reactant side, if I see, the number of magnesium atoms are 2, oxygen atoms 2, and this 2 will get multiplied with magnesium also and oxygen also. So now I can see the number of magnesium atoms is 2 and the number of oxygen atoms again it is 2. Now if I see on both the sides, I can see the number of elements of each element is equal. Now I can say this is balanced chemical equation. So balanced chemical equation, we can conclude when each element has same number of atoms on both the sides. So that is your balanced chemical equation. Now let's try to understand what is the need to balance the chemical equation. Why I don't have to leave the equation in the skeletal form. Skeletal means unbalanced chemical equation. So let's try to understand the need of balancing the chemical equations. So let's take another simple example. I'll take the example of hydrogen plus oxygen. It will give me water, H2O. Now I will not see the number of atoms. Now I will see the mass of each element on both the sides, and then I will see the total mass also. So for hydrogen, since hydrogen is 1 gram, so 2 atoms of hydrogen is there, which means 2 into 1 is 2 grams of hydrogen. Now I have for oxygen, 2 atoms of oxygen is there and 1 atom of oxygen is 16 grams. So here it means 2 into 16, which means so it is 32 grams. So total mass of reactant will be 2 plus 32, which is 34 grams. Now let's check for our product. Hydrogen 2 atoms, which means 2 into 1 is 2 grams. Oxygen 1 atom, which means 16 grams. So 2 plus 16 is 18 grams. I can see the mass of the reactant is 34 grams, whereas the mass of the product is 18 grams. Is this strange? Because I have already learned mass can neither be created nor it can be destroyed. So here it comes the reason why we need to balance the chemical equation. Because see, now if I balance it, I'll write 2 over here and I will write 2 over here. Now I'll check the mass again. For unbalanced equation, I will write here it was 34 gram. It is for unbalanced equation. Here it is 18 gram. Now we'll check the weight for balanced equation. It will be 2 into 2. 4 atoms of hydrogen is present, which means 4 gram. 2 atoms means 2 into 16, which is 32 grams. On doing the total, which means addition, total mass of the reactant is 32 plus 4, which is 36 grams. Now I'll check for the product. 2 into 2 is 4, hydrogen is 4 grams. 2 into 16 is 32. So total mass of the product will be 32 plus 4, which is 36 grams. Can you see now the mass of the product is equal to mass of the reactant is equal to the mass of the product after balancing my chemical equation. So here I get my answer that balancing of chemical equation is required because mass has to be equal for both the reactants and products, because mass can never be created or it can not be destroyed according to the law of conservation of mass. So a chemical equation has to be balanced so that the mass of both the reactants and the product remains same according to the law of conservation of mass. So because of that reason we have to balance the chemical equations. So now let's learn one strategy to balance the chemical equations within 2 minutes, or I can say quickly balance the chemical equations. In my given chemical equation, I have to recognize metals, then non-metal, oxygen. I know a simple O represents oxygen, and then hydrogen. Metals, as you are aware, zinc, magnesium, aluminium, sodium. All these are metals. I'm sure you are already aware of the metals. Then non-metals, it can be chlorine, nitrogen, sulfur, bromine, and so on. Oxygen is represented by O and hydrogen by H. So in this order we have to balance the chemical equation. First we will balance the number of atoms of metal, then non-metal, then again I have to go back and check, because I will keep on making some changes. After every change I have to go back and look for the previous atom which I have made any change. So in this way, in this order, metals, non-metals, then oxygen, then hydrogen, I have to balance the chemical equation. Now we will apply this strategy in the given chemical equation and learn how to make this thing work. Now we will balance this chemical equation. Now first we will write the number of atoms of each element, and we will also recognize which is metal, which is non-metal, and accordingly we have to proceed. So first I know I have to check for metal. Metal here is barium. Barium is metal, and here two metals are given. Aluminium is also given. Now chlorine, which is non-metal, and sulfur, again non-metal, at the end oxygen. So I will write down the number of atoms of each element on both left hand side and right hand side. Let's start from barium. See, I have written in that order: first metals, then non-metals, then oxygen. Barium, I can see left hand side 1 atom, right hand side 1 atom. You can see both the sides. Aluminium, left hand side 2 atoms, right hand side only 1 atom. Then chlorine, left hand side 2 atoms, right hand side 3 atoms. You can see. Then sulfur, left hand side, this 3 is there after bracket, which means sulfur has 3 atoms. This side sulfur has only 1 atom. See, nothing is written with sulfur. Now oxygen, this side with O4 is written, and after bracket, outside the bracket 3 is written, which means 4 into 3, 12 atoms of oxygen are there. In this case only 4 atoms of oxygen are there. So let's try to balance it now. So barium, we will check for both the sides. It is already balanced. From where itself I can conclude barium is equal on both the sides. Now let's do for aluminium. Aluminium, this side it's 2 and right hand side only 1. So what I will do? Simply I will multiply it with 2. Now I can see both the sides I have 2 atoms of aluminium. Again I have to check for the previous step. I have to keep on checking the previous steps to make sure nothing will go wrong. Barium 1, 1. It's fine. Aluminium, this side 2. This side, since I have multiplied it with 2, so 2 atoms of aluminium now I have. Now chlorine. Chlorine, left hand side I have already written 2. Right hand side, since I have multiplied this with 2, now I can see 2 into 3 because this 2 will get multiplied with chlorine also, and chlorine it already has 3 atoms. So 2 into 3 is 6. So now I can see chlorine it has 6 atoms on right hand side but only 2 atoms on left hand side. So what I will do, I will multiply this 2 with 3 because 2 into 3 is 6. So I will multiply this with 3. Now both the sides we have 6 atoms of chlorine. Now again we will go back and check from the first. Barium. Barium, now I can see I have 3 atoms of barium on left hand side since I have multiplied this with 3. So what I will do, left hand side I have 3 atoms. So right side also I will multiply it with 3. So now I get both the sides number of atoms of barium equals to 3. Let's check for aluminium. This side, left hand side I have 2, right hand side also 2 atoms. Chlorine. Chlorine, right hand side 3 into 2 is 6, 2 into 3 is 6. So both the sides are balanced. Now we will check for sulfur. Sulfur, this side it is 3, we have already written, and this side, since we have multiplied this with 3, now this will multiply each element, this 3. So which means sulfur we have 3 atoms now. So let's again start check from the starting, because after every step you have to make sure your previous steps are correct. This is the reason we have to check from starting after each and every step. Barium 3, both the sides I can see. Aluminium here 2, here also 2 I can see. Chlorine 3 into 2 is 6, this side 6, this side also 2 into 3 is 6, it's balanced. Sulfur, this side it is 3 because 3 is written outside the bracket, and sulfur this we have multiplied it with 3, so this side also sulfur 3. Now let's check for oxygen. Oxygen, this side it is 12, and now this side, since we have multiplied this whole with 3, which means oxygen also 3 into 4, 3 into 4 is 12. Now I can see all the atoms of each element are equal on both the sides. Now this is my balanced chemical equation. Let's try this strategy on few more examples. Let's balance this chemical equation by using the same strategy. First of all, I have to recognize the metals, non-metal, then oxygen and hydrogen I have to write in this way. I can see calcium is the metal given, nitrogen non-metal, then oxygen is also given in this equation, and hydrogen is also present. Let's write down the number of atoms of each element on left hand side and right hand side. So we will see calcium, which is the metal and which I have to balance at first. So calcium, for both the sides number of atom is 1. See, only 1 atom of calcium is present. Then nitrogen. Nitrogen, left hand side is 1, but right hand side, if I see this bracket, outside bracket 2 is there, which means 2 atoms of nitrogen is there for on right hand side. Now oxygen. Oxygen 3. See, outside bracket 2 is written. So 3 plus 2 means 5. 5 atoms of oxygen are present on left hand side, and right hand side we will see 3 into 2. See, 3 is written with O and 2 is written outside the bracket. 3 into 2 is 6 plus 1, 7. For hydrogen, left hand side we can see 2 plus 1, 3, and here only 2. So I have already written down the number of atoms for each of the given elements. Now let's start from the given metal. We can see the given metal, it's already balanced. Left hand side also 1 atom, right hand side also 1 atom. Now let's balance it for the given non-metal, which is nitrogen. I can see left hand side 2 atoms of nitrogen is present, for which left hand side only 1. So what I will do, I will multiply this with 2. I will multiply this with 2, which gives me 2 atoms of nitrogen on both the sides of the equation. Now we will go back and look at first step. First step, I can see calcium is still in balanced state. Both the sides, one atom is there. Nitrogen, just now we have balanced and both the sides, 2 atoms of nitrogen are there. Now let's do for oxygen. Oxygen, if I see left hand side, now I have multiplied it with 2. So 2 into 3, because 3 is already written with O. So 2 into 3 is 6. Here I have 2 because outside bracket 2. Here 6 atoms of oxygen. Here outside bracket 2 is written, which means 2 atoms. So total 6 plus 2 is 8. So left hand side 8 atoms of oxygen are there now, since I have multiplied it with 2. Now let's check for right hand side. Right hand side still it is same. 3 plus 2, 6. 3 into 2 is 6 and here 1. So what I will do, I will multiply this with 2 because I know 6 plus 2 is 8. 3 into 2 is 6. Here this will get multiplied with O also, which means 6 plus here 6 atoms of oxygen, here 2 atoms of oxygen. 6 plus 2 is 8. So here I have 8 atoms of oxygen. Now let's go back to the first step and check once again. Calcium, it is still in balance form, 1 atom both the sides. Nitrogen, 2 atoms this side, 2 atoms this side. Still it is in balance form. Oxygen, both the sides, 8 atoms, because just now we have done it. Now let's check for hydrogen. Hydrogen, here I have 2 atoms of hydrogen. Here again I have 2 because outside bracket 2 is written. So in total I have 4 atoms of hydrogen now on my left hand side. Here I have written 2. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4, which means on right hand side also now I have 4 atoms of hydrogen. Now let's see this thing. We will verify all the elements, they have same number of atoms on both the sides, which means our equation is balanced. Let's do one equation more and try to do by following the same strategy. Let's try to balance this chemical equation now. Again we will recognize which metal is given, which non-metal, then oxygen and then hydrogen. Metal is barium, then non-metal is chlorine and sulfur. 2 non-metals are given in this equation. Oxygen is also given and hydrogen is also given. So what we will do, we will write down quickly the atoms of each element for left hand side and right hand side. See, if you don't want to write and directly you can do, that is also fine. If you want to write it down, that is also fine. It's your wish how you want to do it. So we'll see, we can see from here, barium, it is already in balanced state. Chlorine, 2 atoms are on left hand side and right hand side only 1. So what I will do in this case, it's very simple. I'll simply multiply the chlorine atom of right hand side with 2. Now I can see left hand side number of atoms of chlorine 2 and right hand side also number of chlorine atoms 2. Now again we will go back to the first step. Barium is still in balanced state. After chlorine, 2 atoms this side, 2 atoms this side. Now let's check for sulfur. I can see sulfur is already in balanced state. Both the sides, 1 atom is present. Now we will see for oxygen. See, this equation is very simple. Oxygen, again I can see it is in balanced state. I have written also both the sides, 4 atoms of oxygen are present. Now let's check for hydrogen. Hydrogen this side, left hand side, 2 atoms are present. And right hand side, earlier only 1 atom was there. Now I have already multiplied this with 2, which means now I have 2 atoms of hydrogen on right hand side also. Now I can see, if I look my given data, I can see after making changes, all my elements, they are in balanced state. So our equation is balanced now. And I hope you have understood how to balance the chemical equation safely. So I want you guys to try to balance these 2 chemical equations And if you like the video, you can share and subscribe the channel, and many more such valuable videos are yet to come. Thank you for watching the video.